If we took Truly and we swapped her name, instead of it being Truly his daughter, if it was $100 million trust fund, does anybody here think that Cody would be okay with Christine packing up and leaving with trust fund that he has full rights and responsibilities for, and going off and doing whatever she want to do and having somebody all cuddled up next to trust fund? Hell to the no. Let's get it. During last week's episode of Sister Wives, where they had the Christine and Dave Woolley wedding special, there was an issue that came up that I wanted to really point out and drill down on, and it's the issue of David's relationship with Truly and Christine's other children. And I specifically wanted to talk about this because there was a big to-do that was brought up about whether he should be called stepdad or what they should actually call him, and they tried to make a whole thing out of it. The reality of it is, no matter how you feel about it or how he feels about it or how they feel about it, David, because he's marrying Christine, their mother, he is going to be, by definition, their stepfather. That's what he is. Now, with that being said, the relationship between David and Christine's children is David's and the children's responsibility, or within their purview of decision, to decide what type of relationship they're going to have, how deep that relationship is going to be, how strong those bonds are going to be formed, whether they have more of a familial relationship or whether they have more of a familiar relationship. The decision is up to them on how they pursue it. Now, we could say the titles mean something, but the titles don't mean anything. What matters is the relationship that those titles may indicate. So David is in a unique position because when Christine was with Cody, Cody was in a position where he's the natural father. Everybody there acknowledges that he's these children's father. He's their dad, etc., etc., etc. But Cody was not present. Cody wasn't around. Cody was too busy jumping from house to house, bed to bed, to be bothered with the day-to-day cost and time expense of being involved with these children. So the one thing that David is already going to be ahead of, especially when it comes to Truly, is that David is going to be able to provide an environment in which he is going to be able to be present. Something that Cody hasn't been able to do for these particular children. Now, he's doing it for Robin's kids, particularly Saul and Ariel. He's doing it for those children. So for those kids, it'll be a situation where, if you ask them 10 years, 15, 20 years from now, hey, well, how was it with your dad? Oh, he was amazing. He was always present. He always cared for us. But that's not the story that Christine's children are going to tell. That's not the story that the OG-13 kids can tell. So with that being said, already from the start, David is in a situation where he is already fulfilling certain roles that Cody hasn't fulfilled. Now, with that being said, we have to take a look at the reverse side of it, because even when I had said this during my live, there was a little bit of pushback. Well, this person gets married and you don't have to necessarily consider that person to be your step anything. That person's not a step parent. That's just your husband, your mother's husband, or your mother's boyfriend, whatever the case may be, your mother's partner. To a degree, I understand what you're saying, but you're referring directly to the relationship, which I understand, and I'm not forcing that on anybody. But when it comes to the title of step parent, that's part of the job. Because had we flipped it around and we said conversely that David looks at this situation with Christine and says, I'm marrying you, but I have no dealings with these other kids. I have my own kids from my previous marriage. Those are my only children. I don't want nothing to do with Truly, even though she's going to be living in my house. That's your responsibility, your deal. You deal with Truly. I don't want nothing to do with her. I mean, I'll be nice to her because I'm a nice guy, but when it comes to me actually taking a parental role and taking any responsibility or authority over her or making sure that she's okay, that's 100% on you. Everybody on this site, everybody on YouTube verse, and everybody in Sister Wife world would be going crazy talking about what type of man would do this, what type of man would do that, and when you marry a woman with children, you're marrying the whole thing. Well, that's because families are a total package deal. So when Christine is making decisions for herself and then she's bringing this person into her family, then that person is in her family. David is now part of her family. So with that being said, they have the opportunity to make sure to decide what type of relationship they want to have with him. I'm not discouraging that at all. They should decide for themselves whether they want to be with him. It seems as though they're all making a decision to actually participate with David and be around David and include David, which is amazing. One of the bigger issues, though, if I'm going to be honest with you, is an issue I have with Cody and how he approaches it. Now, I understand that Cody is upset because Christine left him and he went through 3 divorces in 3 years and his life is falling apart and it's a shambles. And his life didn't turn out the way he had hoped and planned. Well, guess what? Buckle up, Buttercup, because that's how life works. A lot of times, when you finish your life, you wind up in a completely different or foreign place than you ever thought you were going to be when you started. You start some relationships and you're like, oh, we're going to be together forever, and the relationship doesn't work. Times change, situations change, obstacles are presented, things happen. Whatever, you may have financial loss, economic loss, you may have spiritual loss, you may have a loss in the family. Things happen, which may cause the destruction and dissolution of your family and your family unit. But you have to keep moving forward. And when it comes to Cody looking at the fact that he got hurt by Christine leaving and he's in his feelings, and I understand that, and he has to heal that, and he has to work on that, and that should not be ignored. I understand that. But at the same time, he can't ignore the needs and the responsibilities that he has with regard to his children and making sure that his kids are okay. There was something that was said during the season 18 tell-all, which if we do the timetable of when everything happened and how everything kind of fell into place, according to what I understand and my understanding, Christine and David met sometime in October of 2022. They started dating exclusively, and then by, March, perhaps? February or March of 2023, they were already cohabitating, shacking up, living together, whatever the case may be. Probably not, knocking boots, whatever you want to say. They doing a whole run as though they're uniting and moving forward with their relationship. By April of that same year, they were engaged. So in April 2023, they were engaged. They were living together, cohabitating, and they were engaged. And then by July of 2023, they filmed the tell-all for season 18. And during the time that they were shooting the tell-all, this is what Cody had to say with regard to how well he knew David.
Met David for 15 minutes, had a conversation, a very mild, light conversation. He mostly talked with Robin.
Okay.
She thought he was very sweet. And I think he's, Christine has chosen him, so I think that it's a good match. But I know nothing.
The fact that he can sit there in July, this is 5 months later. He's living in the house, not just with your ex-wife. He ain't just shacking up with your ex-wife. He's living in the house with your child. He has full 24/7 access to your baby. He's living in the house. You meet with him over the course of from the time they moved in together, whenever that was, to July, for at least 5 months, you met with him and spent 15 minutes talking to him. And it was a very light conversation. And then Robin talked to him more, and she said that he was a lovely man. But at the end of the day, when it comes to David, I don't know him. I know nothing about him. And you're okay with that response. The thing that bothers me the most about Cody is that he'll say things that to me make zero sense. There are things that he's okay with that he should never be okay with. This man is living in the house with your child. You should have made sure that you had every opportunity to meet with him, talk to him, discuss with him so you can figure out what kind of man he is, what kind of influence he's going to have on your baby, and what kind of environment he's going to place your family in. And the only way that Cody can do this, and this is going to be a big leap, but the only way that can truly happen, Because if you do see something and you want to say something, the only way you're going to be taken seriously is if you are mature enough to be able to approach this, to put your feelings, your personal interests aside and step forward and look at the best interest of your baby and the best interest of your child. Put your child ahead of what your wants and desires are. Put your kid's safety ahead of your fee-fees and your feelings. That's what would be required in order for Cody to be able to approach David in a means and manner in which he can introduce himself and say, "Hi, how are you? My name is Cody Brown. I'm Truly's dad. I just want us to be able to sit down and have a conversation so I can figure out what you're about." And there's nothing wrong with that. That's to be expected. That's to be expected, but the truth of the matter is, because Cody is acting so angry, he's acting so erratic, he's acting so out of place, he's acting as though he's out of sorts and he can't control himself, and he has this furious anger because his big picture is falling apart and things aren't working out the way he planned and he's throwing temper tantrums. Now all of a sudden, there's no interest in Christine trying to get your input and trying to figure out what it is that you can do to make this transition easier for your daughter. Now, I did hear over the course between the season 17 and season 18 that Cody did have an issue with the two of them living together because he thought it was a bad example set for his daughter. Here's the thing. If you want to have your opinion matter, you have to be involved. You have to be involved in the day-to-day of what's going on with the child to make sure that you're up to date with what's going on so that you have a say. You have to be involved. And for some folks, one of the things that has always kind of annoyed me about these types of situations, because I recognize and I realize that in the reality of our legal system, in some cases the guys are coming in with a disadvantage, or the non-custodial parent. I won't even just limit it to the guys, but sometimes, custody orders are given out and they may not seem fair, and the time you get to spend with your child, even if you're used to seeing them every day, it doesn't seem fair that you only get to see them once every other weekend, or whatever the case may be, twice a month. You get them over at your house from Friday to Sunday, and it may be one night over the week you get them. Every other week you get them. I get it. It doesn't seem fair, and it doesn't seem right, and it may seem like guys are losing way more than the females are losing. I get that as well. But when you have somebody who takes the position that they will lie, cheat, steal, connive, manipulate, misrepresent everything under the sun when it comes to Cody Pass, when it comes to the money, or it comes to some kind of financial advantage, he's willing to say anything out of his mouth so that he can get what he wants, and he's determined to do the thing that he wants with the thing that he wants. But when it comes to his kid, it's inconvenient. You won't let me come over your house and lay up in your bed, so therefore I can't come and see the children because it's not convenient for me. It's not fun anymore. You won't let me enjoy them in a place that I feel comfortable enjoying them, so therefore I'm not interested in having that relationship. That's ridiculous to me. Because if you had taken Truly's name, his daughter, since we're talking about stepfather and stepdaughter and titles and all that, if we took Truly and we swapped her name, instead of it being Truly his daughter, if it was Trust Fund for $1 million, $2 million, or $100 million, $100 million trust fund, does anybody think that Cody would be okay with Christine packing up trust fund and moving to Utah? I don't. Does anybody here think that Cody would be okay with Christine packing up and leaving with trust fund that he has full rights and responsibilities for, and going off and doing whatever she want to do and having somebody all cuddled up next to trust fund? Hell to the no. I think that if instead of it being Truly, if it was trust fund, Cody would be on the phone every other day, talking about if not every day, talking about, hey, what's Trust Fund doing? What's Trust Fund up to? Who's around Trust Fund? Where's Trust Fund at? What's Trust Fund doing? I have to see Trust Fund. Trust Fund needs to be in my house because I got to make sure the Trust Fund's okay. I got to make sure the Trust Fund's doing good. So if you can't get Trust Fund down here, we need to get on the phone by this afternoon so we can figure out whether I'm coming to you or you coming to me, or what we doing with Trust Fund. Matter of fact, with Trust Fund, I think that I need to be in charge of Trust Fund. I think Trust Fund need to come and stay with me because I need to make sure Trust Fund going to be okay and Trust Fund healthy. That would be the substantive difference. And that's where I have an issue and a problem with a lot of the way that Cody did it. Because Cody, if it was $100 million trust fund and Cody had every right and full rights and responsibilities to be able to deal with and at least get 50-50 with that trust fund, or at least be able to get some visitation and some time to check on trust fund and see whether trust fund is growing properly and maturing properly, correctly, I guarantee you that Cody would be 100% into making sure the trust fund is taken care of. He would go down to the courthouse and file paperwork. And before somebody puts down in the comment section or down below that in their culture, they don't go to courts. They don't believe in courts. They absolutely believe in courts. You know how I know they believe in courts? Because when it came time for Robin to take the rights and responsibilities, full rights away from her ex-husband so that Cody could adopt those kids, Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna, they took their ass to court. They did that in court. When it came time to get the legal paperwork done for the legal marriage and who's going to be the legal wife and all that, they had no problem going down, switching that out from Mary and giving it to Robin. If they don't care about court stuff, then you will go down and make sure, maybe you'll get Cody to adopt the kids, but once he adopts the kids, you can get a divorce. They're not going to rescind the adoption because Cody puts in for a divorce and now he's not married to anybody and everybody's on equal planes because we don't believe in marriage. That's not true. They do believe in marriage. They understand the power of court orders. They understand what happens if you go to court. They understand that stuff. When Cody was sitting there talking about, telling Christine that, Cody was asking and trying to get Christine back in season 17 to sign some paperwork so that he could get 50-50 custody. Let's be very clear. Cody wasn't trying to get 50-50 custody of Truly. He was trying to get a piece of paper or a contract or agreement that says that he has 50-50 custody so that she ever tried to take him to court to get child support, she wouldn't be able to get it because that's one of the things that are kicked around in the manosphere about, like one of the one of the little stories that they tell. If you have 50-50 custody, you ain't got to pay child support. Because you have for the time you have, you're responsible. For the time she have, she responsible. You should have to pay for what she have. This, that, and look, it depends on the jurisdiction you live in. Jurisdictionally, there's some places that you can live in where they don't care who has them. How much time you have them does make a difference. But even if it's 50-50, they take your money, they take their money, they put it together, they figure out who's making more money, and they say this is how much needs to get paid so the child can experience a certain level of lifestyle at wherever they are, etc., etc. And they might still set up child support on you. There are some jurisdictions where you could be living together and you can still get child support. So if you are in this situation, the best thing you can do, don't listen to somebody on YouTube. Don't listen to me give you legal advice. Go talk to an attorney from your jurisdiction and from the place where your kids live and where your court order is going to be issued, and you talk to that attorney and seek legal advice. That would be the best advice anybody could give you, YouTube, in person, or whatever. But in this particular case, if Cody was sitting here talking about something that he wanted to deal with, he would be willing to fight for her. He'd be willing to do whatever it takes to be around her. This guy can't even be inconvenienced, much less fight for. And that's what's necessary. So before Cody starts doing the whole preaching the song and dance about what David's going to be called, I could give a damn what he's called. It's how he treats her and the relationship that they build. And this isn't just for Truly, because honestly, one of the most destructive positions that Cody had taken as a parent was when he had said back in season 17, when they were having a call and he was trying to explain that, I'm not really worried about the older girls because I'm really focused on the younger girls because that's the younger kids are the ones who really need their dads. The older girls don't really need their father. Everybody needs their parents. And Cody needs to recognize that everybody needs the support of their parents. One of the most powerful things that can happen for even the older children, McKelty, Aspen, Peyton, Isabel, as they're moving forward in their lives, I think I forgot somebody, but whoever I forgot, include them. As they're moving forward in their lives and they're met with challenges, not just challenges at school in Truly's case, but life challenges. Dad, what classes should I take? Dad, this is what's happening in school. Dad, These are the type of people I'm dating. These are what's going on with my friends. I have a friend who's doing XYZ. What do you think about that, Dad? Hey, Dad, I'm trying to choose a career path. I'm trying to think about, before I get into this career, I'm thinking about taking this job, Dad. Hey, Dad, I'm thinking about buying a house, or I'm trying to decide between buying a house or renting an apartment, Dad. Hey, Dad, I'm trying to decide where I'm going to live, what state or city I'm going to live in, what part of town I'm going to live in. These are all contributions that you can make. Hey, Dad, I'm thinking about getting married. These are things that, milestones that these kids are going to encounter throughout their lives, that you can be there for them and help them. Hey, Dad, I just had a friend who passed away. I need comfort and encouragement. When they're met with these challenges, one of the more powerful things you can do, if you can't supply that money and that finance to get your kids on a path to do the things that they want to do or be where they want to be, one of the more powerful things you can do as a parent, and maybe even more valuable than just giving them the money, is simply giving them words of encouragement. You got this. The 3 words. You can do this. 4 words. 3 words. I love you. Those are things that you can say to encourage your kid and get them through those hard times, whether they're children or adults. And the only way it works and the only way it matters is if you're around to do it. And so with David's situation, I hope that he's the type of man who's going to step up and step into that role and truly explore that role and enjoy that role. With Cody, I hope that he develops the maturity to be able to find himself in a position where he can start giving the things that these kids need, beyond just saying, hey, I'm your dad, I'm the one that slept with your mom and donated a little bit of sperm and time to make you. Let me know what you guys think down below. That's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality, and I'm out.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.